Brilliance in the basics. One of my favorite quotes of all time, spoken from a man much wiser and more learned than myself. That quote is from former Secretary of Defense and retired United States Marine Corps General Jim Mattis. In that quote, General Mattis is talking about military tactics and strategy. However, I think it's such an outstanding quote that can be applicable to nearly anything in life. One area in particular that I think brilliance in the basics really shines through is going to be in strength training or strength and conditioning. Even the most advanced movement patterns and exercises are rooted in the basics. So setting up a strong foundational basis in the basics can have you getting stronger, moving better, and more athletically for years to come. The caveat to that is that you have to make sure that the basics you are learning are in fact the basics that you need brilliance in. And if you're just starting out on your strength and conditioning journey, allow me to share this one idea with you that, if implemented and integrated into your training, can have you getting stronger, moving better, and more athletically month after month, year after year. When I first started working out, all I wanted to do was get strong and get swole. And of course, what were the first things that I started doing? Bench, squat, deadlift, just like any 14, 15-year-old at the time would do. Probably even now, that's what they would do. And then you get together with your buddies and you'd be like, oh man, I'm working out. And they'd be like, oh man, how much do you bench press? Because that's the only metric of strength we know at the time. And it's not that that was entirely incorrect, it was just incomplete. I prioritized those lifts over everything. That's what I thought all I needed was to get strong was just to do those. When in reality, if I really wanted complete movement mastery and strength, training all fundamental movement patterns would have given me far better results, as opposed to just the 3 that I placed my priorities on. In total, there are 7 fundamental movement patterns. If you do these 7 patterns and you implement them into your training and you do it consistently, you'll become an absolute beast. Now, I've mentioned 3 of them, so I'll start there and then I'll go over the rest of them. Fundamental movement pattern number 1 is going to be squats. It's one of the first things that we ever learned how to do, and at one point in life, we all had perfect squats. Of course, this was when we were babies. But if you do want to see a perfect squat in action, next time you see a baby, watch them when they squat. Just look at their form, their technique. It's perfect squats every time you see them. Squats are not only one of the most popular exercises in the gym, they're also one of the best exercises ever, and this is for a very good reason. Not many exercises can compete with the pure strength that you can build with squats, and training full range of motion in your squats is also going to help you improve your hip mobility and range of motion in your ankles and your knees. This isn't limited to just barbell squats either. Any type of squat variation is going to pay dividends for a long time to come. Hinge patterns are next. Deadlifts probably being the most known version of a hinge, but any hinge pattern or variation will improve your movement ability. Squats will load your quads and glutes, while deadlifts on the other hand are going to load your hamstrings and glutes and your low back. But in all reality, deadlifts can work every single muscle on your posterior chain, which is fancy talk for every muscle that's on your backside. Hinges will increase your strength, improve your ability to hinge and move from your hips, show you how to maintain a neutral spine, and how to brace through your core. Pushing patterns are going to be after that. This is where your bench press is going to fall in. And bench press is what's known as a horizontal push. So it's a push horizontally. And then you have another type, which is a vertical push, which is going to be going straight up and down. That's where your shoulder presses are going to fall in. Incorporate both horizontal and vertical pushing into your training to maximize your athleticism, and that way you're building strength and improving your ability to move throughout your full range of motion throughout that pattern. Doing so will help you build strength throughout your chest, your triceps, your shoulders, while also building shoulder range of motion if you train through full range of motion and you 100% should be training through full range of motion with all of your movements, or whatever your current capacity for your range of motion is, and actively seeking to improve that range of motion over time. All right, let's do a quick recap on those movement patterns that we've covered. So there's 3 of them in total. You've got your squats, your hinges, and pushing, but in all reality, there's 4 patterns within that. So you have squats, hinges, vertical pushing, which would be shoulder presses, and then horizontal pushing, which would be something like your push-ups or bench press. The 4th movement pattern is going to be pulling, and one similarity between the pulling pattern and the pushing movement pattern is going to be that the pulling pattern also has 2 types of movements associated with it, that also being a horizontal pull, so that would be something like rows, and then you have a vertical pull, which would be something like pull-ups or lat pull-downs. The main muscles you're going to train with pulling patterns are going to be muscles like your traps, your lats, and then other muscles like your rhomboids and your posterior delts as well. Training your pulling patterns is also going to help you balance out the strength between your pulling and pushing muscles. A big back is a big bench, and a big back also makes you strong as hell, but also makes you look big as hell too. Training both your horizontal and vertical pulling patterns are going to help you balance out the other side of your shoulder mobility as well, because you have some muscles with pushing that work your shoulder differently than your pulling muscles. So it's giving you, training both patterns is going to give you a more complete shoulder workout and more complete way to build that range of motion in your shoulders. Movement pattern number 5 is going to be lunges, which is going to help further strengthen your quads and glutes and also build hip, knee, and ankle mobility. One big distinction between squats and lunges is that lunges will build coordination and rhythm between your left and right sides. That's because your body is doing 2 different movements with each side of your body, versus a squat where both halves are doing the same thing. A final added benefit of lunges is that it can improve your gait by strengthening your muscles in a similar pattern to walking and running. When you do something like walking lunges, where you're going through that alternating leg and hip swing cycle. While we're on the topic of walking, let's discuss movement pattern number 6, which is going to be locomotion. In a nutshell, locomotion is any type of movement that's going to get you from point A to point B, whether that's walking, sprinting, jogging backwards, lateral shuffles, anything like that. Makes perfect sense. If you want to be more athletic, getting good at locomotion will effectively train your body to function as one integrated unit. Typically with athletic movements, there is a lot of movement involved, so being able to have that rhythm, coordination, and timing between how your body moves as one will obviously make you more athletic. Other types of locomotion exercises could be things like bear crawls, plyometric drills like bounding, skipping, or anything like that. Finally, the last movement pattern, this is going to be bracing. This is a type of movement pattern that involves your core, and the biggest advantage that you're going to get through learning how to brace is going to be improving your ability to transfer force from your lower body to your upper body. Some of the muscles that will benefit from training this type of movement pattern are going to be your abs, of course, your internal and external obliques, your transversus abdominis, just to name a few. Your core connects your upper body to your lower body, and in order to fully express explosive athletic ability, doing things like punching, kicking, throwing, climbing, anything like that, or just being able to move well, knowing how to use your core is crucial. Exercises like planks, suitcase holds, or Pallof presses are going to help improve your bracing ability. There's also exercises like Russian twists, dragon flags, or crunches. Any type of exercise that's going to help build that connection to your core and show you how to use and engage these muscles. Those are going to be your 7 fundamental movement patterns, which technically is really 9 patterns if you think about it. You've got squats, hinges, vertical pushing, horizontal pushing, vertical pulling, horizontal pulling, lunges, locomotion, and bracing. 9. Okay. And here's probably what you're thinking. How do I incorporate all of those movement patterns into my training program? Right? That's what you're thinking. Yeah, I got you. So allow me to share with you one way to do this. Now, this isn't going to be the only way to do it. There's practically limitless possibilities on ways that you could go about doing this. This is just one way that makes sense to me. Let's break this down. Let's say you train 3 times a week. I think 3 times a week is a fairly standard training setup. So we'll use a 3-day split. And it's going to be 3 total body workouts each time, grouping similar movement patterns together on specific days. Workout number 1 is going to be a squat and push day. So you're going to use squats, horizontal and vertical pushing patterns. So something like squats, bench press, and shoulder press. Workout number 2 is going to be hinge and pulling patterns. So exercises like deadlifts, rows and pull-ups, or lat pull-downs. And then workout number 3 is going to be lunges and locomotion patterns. So this can be walking lunges, lateral lunges, something like a jog or lateral shuffles or agility drills, anything locomotion exercise related that you want to do. But what about bracing? Oh, you're right. I forgot about bracing. No, I didn't. Here's what I want to say about bracing. Your core has 6 types of general movements that it can do. I've made a couple of core videos on this in the past. I'll see about linking those videos down below if you want to get a more complete understanding of what that looks like. But these 6 types of general movements are going to be flexion and extension, lateral flexion and lateral extension, rotation, and then you have anti-flexion and extension, anti-lateral flexion and extension, and anti-rotation. To make your training more complete, we'll break down these 6 movements and add them into the mix. This is going to give you a more complete and total control over your core and your ability to brace. So here's how that's going to look fully implemented. If you're just starting out and you want to become an absolute monster, incorporate these types of movement patterns into your training, become brilliant in the basics, and be unstoppable. That's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, thought it was useful or helpful to you, drop a comment down below, like, comment, subscribe, let me know, ask questions. Bye.